All right, what are you talking about today, James?
Um, Let me think. What was ideas in the afternoon? What's the big idea in the afternoon? What were they talking about? Bias. you guys, you guys aren't the person to be. You're biased. I know what was coming. Like I didn't hear it. I tuned. No, I didn't tune out, but I tuned off. I was in the car. You saw me. I just finished the news, and so I wanted to come back in here. I want to hear something, talk to someone reasonable, and not hear Nala Ayed and the various sorts of flunky she gets on a program and stuff like that. But I do listen to the garbage. I'll listen to all sorts of garbage. So coming from all viewpoints, I guess. I take them all into account. And I've got a good sense of humor, so I get a lot of laughter. It's bitter, though. Because pretty well everyone has got just a whacked out viewpoint on the world. Everyone's biased. And they don't know how to get over it. I'm pretty sure they didn't have any solution. What you do, we've talked about when we're marking exams and stuff like that. Objectively framed, objectively administered, and objectively marked. And that's all the way up through grad school. When you're hiring, you write exams. Objectively framed, objectively administered, and objectively marked. All the way through a person's working career. And perhaps the same thing should apply for people coming into a country. You have to pass a language exam, and exam where you show not just a history, understanding of geography of the country that you're going to, but a geography of the world. And not just the history of they'd be asking history of want people to understand the world. History of the world. And really, I think what should be required is knowledge of 2 languages, French and English, and 1 indigenous language. So you'll actually get an appreciation from people stomping in who think that they've got some sort of God-given right or whatever to stomp in. That, the whiteys, when they moved in here, they weren't very respectful of indigenous people. I want to make sure that whoever comes in now has at least the foundation for respect for indigenous people. Is that hypocrisy? Oh, I'm part indigenous, okay. And I decry the way whiteys treated the natives, indigenous people. But bringing in people who are going to keep on doing it, what is that? Oh yeah, it's the logical fallacy, or the illogical fallacy, of 2 rights, 2 wrongs, making a right. It doesn't work out that way. But there are a lot of faux gauchers in particular. Oh, the whites do it! There's militias here, so let's bring terrorists in. Well, they don't quite figure that way, but hey, there are not going to be too many terrorists coming in, and your chances of getting hit by terrorism is about the chances of getting hit by lightning. So yeah, it's got to be okay. Literally, it's the kind of garbage that's getting passed on in universities. Terrorism is, what is it? Oh yeah, it's triggering. It's not triggering like little microaggressions. You wouldn't hear them saying that about militia type of terrorism. Hey, someone burned down a mosque. Gosh darn it, we've got an awful society, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, it's awful and terrible. But it cuts not just both ways, but every way but loose. In other words, don't burn down anything, even outhouses. And people who burn down stuff, they shouldn't be allowed in the country. I don't want recruits for militias coming in. So it's like a bit like someone, they were protesting, like they wanted open borders. I said, well, what do we do about if Nazis want to come in? Oh, we stop them. There's lots of belief systems that are about the same ethical level as Nazis. I guess you let them in. Not according to me, they don't. But what were they yipping and yapping? What's the big news today? Oh yeah, Alberta's making appeals to all these other provinces. Federal government. All of a sudden, there's a federal government. Hey, Justin, help us out. Justin's freaking incompetent. And when you're appealing to him for help, you are off the map. Incompetent. You hear that, Jason Kenney? Justin Trudeau is a drooling, overgrown, overaged teenager. And you're praying to him for help, you stupid oxymoron. Hey, you found the right balance yet, butthead? Balance between lives and livelihoods. Hey, we're losing lives. And if you don't watch it, you skunk, they're going to be innocent people who've done the right thing and gone out and got their vaccines are going to be triaged out of existence in order to let some of your supporters survive. People have been doing COVID parties, wild COVID parties, but you represent the WCP, the wild COVID party. You're not the Conservative Party. Conservatives are supposed to be responsible. You're responsible to the wildest, stupidest wing of your party, and you want to keep them in line and on side. That's the only thing that's motivating you, you stupid puke. Now, why am I this way? I received a piece of news that wasn't on the CBC. It's a piece of news from Lethbridge Hospital. At least one person with both their vaccines, but with cancer, died recently. Way to go, you WUCP party. That's on you, you sphincters. This person did right. No reason why they should be dying. It's because of you, skunks. I at least got good news personally, like I'm good for another month for another treatment, but I got to go to the hospital where they're letting people take their masks off while they chomp down on food. They're allowed visitors, and the visitors are taking their masks down while they're chomping down on food, drinking water, or whatever. One person I saw a couple months back, they had to take their mask down to do laptoping. There's a visitor where people are getting treatment. They can be there for hours. I'm usually there for over 2 hours. Getting prepped, getting the treatment. So this is a little warning to Chinook Health. What is it, CHR, region? Get your act together. You're going to have more people dying. Stupid. Yeah, I was on the radio today. It was someone from Lethbridge, CHR. They're filling up, with the COVID people. Almost all of them haven't got both of their vaccines. When it gets down to triage time, they're saying, what do we do? How do we determine? Oh, well, if you don't have a year to live, well, you're out of here, out of this existence. What is that? If they've got both of their vaccines, I don't care if they've got a year to live. They have a right to that. People who haven't got their vaccines, who've been spreading COVID around to Lord knows who've been responsible for killing Lord knows who people, they get preferential treatment over people who've been responsible? What is wrong with this picture? That's insane. That's criminally insane. If that happens and people die, that is a crime against humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of politicians right now that ought to be facing,
World Court.
yeah, well, not only that, but, I mean, it's, they're working against Canada. Because Canada is the people, you know, so, I mean, what's the penalty for treason, Theresa? For
Theresa Tam?
Theresa Tam. What's
None.
the penalty for treason?
She continues. Dina Hinshaw, it's treason,
Yeah.
and she continues to serve her own interests or the interests of the party that she represents. Slime on you. Shame on you, you traitors. Now understand, traditional penalty for treason is you know what. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the death penalty.
How many people have they killed?
Well, here in
How many
Alberta,
people will they
it's
kill before
2.5,
this thing?
and I understand, like if
If they're not stopped, how many more will they kill?
If two people kill two people, they're not responsible
I mean,
for
that's
one
kind of
murder.
like the hypothetical when people are like, oh, if you could go back in time and kill Hitler before he killed a whole bunch of people, would you? You know? Well, I'm not suggesting anybody goes all vigilante, but
In fact, we both strongly discourage that.
yeah.
I don't think even these people, if it's some sort of world court or Canadian court or something like that, I don't encourage the death penalty. But these people should be these people, I'm using it negatively here, okay? I found by keeping track of it, I use it about 33%. 33%, it's just
Not
neutral.
one way or the other, yeah.
And 33%, it's actually positive. 33%, it's negative. It's negative now. These people should be chucked in jail. They should melt down the key and then throw it away, just in case it's discovered that they can never be let out. So melt it down and then throw it away. Okay? So that's what should happen to them. No chance for parole, anything like that. Chance for good behavior. Can you imagine Jason Kenney? Good behavior. That sleaze bucket.
I mean, why do they get all the freedoms that they're taking away from people with who are immunosuppressed or something like that? I mean, there are a lot of people out there who are hiding, like the elderly. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of elderly right now that we probably won't see them until COVID's done because they're trying to keep from dying, so they're keeping away from everyone else. And how is that fair?
Ultimately, if you keep on
families, they can't
dicing with death,
yeah.
We're going to be saying, oh, for the days of the Delta variant.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The first stage of Spanish flu affected the elderly, but what other group?
The babies.
Children, babies. We've lucked out so far. We've gone through, I presume, more than 10 variants, or roughly 10 variants up to Lambda or a little bit beyond. I heard about one, they hadn't named it yet. It's probably going to be Mu. Okay.
Yeah,
The Mu variant.
let's not call them that.
No,
because
the Delta
Greeks
variant is
have
a
had
Mahdi
nothing
variant.
to do with
It's the Mahdi variant.
COVID
Came out of India.
pandemic.
Let's not name them all after country or provinces or cities. Let's name them after the people responsible. Yeah? So that's a Mahdi variant. Well, we will be saying, oh, for the days of Mahdi variant. If one of these variant comes along and it starts affecting kids, all you skunks out there have been strutting around. You're 20 years old and you got some
these
kids.
These are affecting kids.
Well, yeah.
We don't know how. They could be affecting them in many ways.
It's true.
But I mean,
But the thing is,
killing them
it'll
off
be
instantly.
wiping them
Okay.
out. Yeah? I almost wiped out my granddad. He was 37 years old. That's the Spanish flu.